Welcome back to On the Nose, a podcast where we look back at the major thoroughbred meetings for Saturday and just how punters and how the TAB went. And to help me out with that, once again, of course, is Thad Taylor, who knows all the ins and outs around here at the TAB.
Hey, well, very kind of you to say. Good morning, Paulie. Pleasure to be joining you. Yeah, we just have a look at the numbers, what horses were well backed, which were losing results, which were winning results, and how the TAB or customers fared overall. So I think it's quite a valuable little tool to note some of these things down as we go. And that's been proven to be the case in the first few episodes, to be fair.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That having a look back at those runners that were well backed and maybe didn't perform up to expectation, but their next start, hello.
Yeah, it always happens, doesn't it? I mean, I know my punting life, you're always one race too early, tend to be, and then you drop them and they come out and win the next start. So this is hopefully we can, let you know that the money has been on certain runners or not on certain runners, and you can use that to sort of hone your strategy come a Saturday.
Righty-ho, let's start down south. And the meeting last Saturday was Wingatui, race one. Well, here we go. Let's start off with a dead heat.
Yeah, game of two halves at Wingatui, to be fair, Paul. It was customers well on side early on, and they gave us a kick in the guts with a nice dead heat to start the day with the TAB paying out in full. And they were both movers in this market, Tommy Perfect and Lady Diva. Tommy Perfect was the worst way, though. That was around minus 30,000 or so, and Lady Diva was a bit of a positive result, even though it was 9 into 450, but combined paying out both.
Not so good.
Yeah, minus 35,000 to start the day for the TAB at Wingatui. Almanac was one to note down there for the Pittman team. Ran a nice sort of fifth. Was minus 40,000, was 23 into 17. It had a 0 on the form line, then came out and ran well in race one. Running on into fifth and was a losing result, so be marking down Almanac. Obviously a bit of an opinion of that Pittman runner, but yeah, Tommy Perfect deserved a win. He got half a win, but in terms of our customers, he got a whole win.
And that's a great thing to mention, Thad, the dead heat rules in terms of the TAB and their fixed win, I guess, full payouts.
Yeah, I'd almost forgotten that it was a dead heat when I went to review the races, and I saw the tote dividends on Lady Diva. First thing I saw, it was $2.50. I was like, by gosh, they really hoed into this on the tote. And then I realised that was obviously a half dividend if you'd bet on the tote. Fixed odds win bets were paid in full, which meant we were minus 35,000 race one.
Okay, another favourite gets home in race two. This is a really good start for the punters.
Yep, they were all well on song here. Although Queen's Evidence, interesting, a 2-year-old for Tiaki having its first start down south. We were obviously very wary. We opened $2.10. Just a little bit soft late in proceedings for Queen's Evidence, which is a bit unusual. But at first starters, we do say that as well, that first starters can be a little bit soft. Gee, the runner Professional Lad was interesting. Another first starter, Terry Ray Kelly Myers, that was a mover in the market, finished second. And so it was his first starters at Quinella the race. And as I say, Queen's Evidence, it was a losing result. It was probably the only losing result, but it wasn't the losing result that potentially I thought it might have been. But yeah, you'd be taking both those first starters, particularly Professional Lad, who was 650 into 420 late. Queen Sierra had some support, probably didn't run up to standard there, but Queen's Evidence minus 15,000 in the second of the day, the 2-year-olds.
Race three, and Miss Brittany gets home at around the $9 mark.
Yeah, well supported. Got out as high as $12, then came tumbling back into around $9.50 late, did Miss Brittany. She's a horse that's often well backed with us, to be fair. So that was minus 25,000 for Miss Brittany. Terry Kennedy held the key here in terms of market movers. He had two in the race, and they both shortened up markedly. American Cheval, and that has happened before with that horse as well. So maybe testing customers' patience a touch. American Cheval, 850 into 440, and Harker Decree as well up the top of the book, 850 into $5. Both sadly failed to yelp. But Miss Brittany with the late move, and a horse that's always well supported for John and Karen Parsons, 12 into 950. Another loss, minus 25. So
punters off to a flying start down at Wingatui.
1, 2, 3. We're down about 75,000 roughly in the first three races at Wingatui.
Do you fight back race 4 with Peach Pride?
Do we? You would think so. 850 up to $13. This race had a few moving parts, to be perfectly honest. There was sort of money all over the show. Lucienne, we marked this horse last time. It was a big mover. It was again Lucienne. Robert Dennis, who has a bit of success coming up in the card, but that was $6.15 to $3.30. That was minus 50,000, and Move On was the big mover. 14 into 650 ran a good race to Move On for the Andertons. But yeah, Pete's Pride, I'm going to say break even. There was good support for the Lee Callaway runner, although it was a drifter very late in proceeding, so it didn't mean it was the result that you thought it might have been in the race. So as I say, break even. Some people had some success around Pete's Pride.
Race 5 and wow, another favourite gets home, the Princey one.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it was well found by customers. It was relatively well found by bookmakers. So the book didn't get out of control. It'd be fair to say around the Princey one. Robert Dennis had 2 in the race. Lemon Curd was 10 into 9, or it might have been 11 into 9. Got a bit shorter than that. Got back out to 9 late, and they
ran the Quinny.
Yeah, Joe, it was only just the Quinny too. I say just the Quinny. It was only just the Princey one who held Lemon Curd off. A very close photo, but yeah, Princey one, another favourite. Not a disaster as a result. Minus 15,000. Monaghan Boy and Nut shortens again. You see sometimes you see these horses that the money continues to go on. Like he's been running good races. It wasn't his day, Monaghan Boy, but he was 11 into 5. Take note. But yeah, another loss. So we've got sort of almost 5 in a row here at Wingatui.
Do we fight back in race 6 with that Perencanto mare, Tiki, with Tina.com aboard? So usually Tina.com rides are very well backed.
Yeah, and usually this horses as well, Tiki, has had some, we've had some disastrous results around this one in the past. It wasn't to be this time, and that was for the fact that we had shoes in the race. Boy, they put it on, shoes, and yeah, it was all over at the start, really, for the mare by Darren. She just missed the kick. Donovan Cooper aboard, looked well placed. It was 416 to 280 shoes. And obviously Tiki, on the other hand, there, the Perencanto mare, who's usually very well backed, Tina on board, was 615 to 550, got back out to 7, and there was so much money on shoes. I mean, Tiki was a winning result, plus 25,000. Adenea had some long shot support. That was a losing result as well, 18 into $15. But yeah, Tiki, usually a losing result. Wasn't this time due to the fact that shoes was such a well-backed favourite.
Race 7, the Dunedin Guineas, and Loose Sally at around the $20 mark gets home. So surely this one, you fought back there.
Here we go. The tide has turned down there. And look, Loose Sally was hovering around $21. Might have been 23 into 18, back to 21. It was plus 50,000 to be fair for Loose Sally. And that was because Royal Sovereigns, they pumped it on here. The Northerner for Bill Thurlow. Minus 135,000 for Royal Sovereigns. So, fair to say, left it in there. Lives to fight another day, does the filly there by 10 Sovereigns. But, interesting run at Air Park Hustler, finished second. Good money. I know it says 12 out to 14 on the official flux, but it was 12 into 850, back out to 14 late. I would suggest ran above most people's betting expectations. That was a losing result, and it was a very bad result during the week. I got back to around minus 20,000. That ran second, but Loose Sally surprised most, plus 50 in the Guineas.
The Dunedin Gold Cup was next up, and Lofty's Gift, another one for you.
Yeah, well, you'd think so. It was to a degree. There were certainly worse results. Robert Dennis runners, as we've spoken about on this podcast before, generally well supported. He was 12 out to 16, Lofty's Gift. He was a small winning result. There were 3 horses they wanted here. Smooth Operator, 6 into 480, minus 40,000. Field of Gold, minus 130,000 for Field of Gold down there over the 2,400 metres. So wasn't to be today. An Elegant Lady as well didn't really yelp. 9 into 650. That was minus 50,000. There were better results than Lofty's Gift, I'm going to be honest, but better than the 3 that I just mentioned. So a small win, Lofty's Gift, but a small win only.
The White Robe Lodge, the main race of the day, and Tina.com gets home again on a Danny Fry runner, Our Echo, at 30s. Oh. Surely, tell me. Here's the good news for you and the traders. Yeah,
this was a good result. He wasn't running at Trentham, so no one wanted to know about him. Our Echo, what a horse he is, though. I mean, goodness me. You'd love to own him. I say that about a lot of winners on the show. I'd love to own a winner, full stop. But
at least you get to work with one.
Yeah, absolutely blessed. Look, he's the winner of 9 races now, our Echo, and 11 seconds as well amongst that. So, yeah, but he was 21, out to 31. He was plus 55,000. Harlech, the big mover again, 450 into 280. It was minus 45,000. And the Grey Goose had supporters. The Grey Goose does 10 into $8. That was a losing result, as was Steal My Thunder, the other Bill Thurlow runner at a big price. But, at that big price doesn't take much to get the liability up relatively quickly. So Harlech, the Grey Goose and Steal My Thunder were the worst ways, particularly Harlech, 450 into 280. But, yeah, our Echo does it away from Trentham, as he's done many times in the past, to be fair.
Final race of the day, and Maximus Augustus gets home at around $14. Nice little finish to the day for the team.
Yeah, fair to say that it was. Sam won aboard. Maximus Augustus stuck under the guard of most, and saying that, it was 15 out to 18, back to 13 late, so a little market push. Sometimes those we always say those market pushes need to be kept an eye on as best you can. But it only won the 3 from 28, so look, it was a plus $40,000 result, in fairness, because we had the likes of Quinta Bell in the race, who's always well supported, even from a tricky gate. Tommy Shelby, another horse for Anna Furlong, that is well supported. Generally speaking, even though that was 550 out to 750, that was a losing result. And they nearly got it right with our approval for the Andertons. 13, that was the market move here, 13 into 650. That finished third in the race. So meant that Maximus Augustus, even though there was that late little dabble, 18 into 13, it was plus 40,000 in the ODT Southern Mile final, which meant overall there at Wingatui, it was a small win of around 40,000. So it was doom and gloom early down there, but some results late in the card, particularly our Echo, Loose Sally, and Maximus Augustus, meant the TAB came out with a small profit.
It's usually a pretty good day when you can come away from a Southern meeting with a profit, you and the traders, because they're very canny down south.
Yeah, they are. And look, Tina rode a couple at least. If there weren't some of those well-back Northerners that got beat, we would have been in a bit of strife. But, yeah, Shoes getting beaten, Harlech getting beaten, as I mentioned, throughout the card. Their Royal Sovereigns as well, who's another well-back favourite in the Guineas. They sort of came for the Northern form, and it didn't fire for them. The Southerners had a little surprise for them down there at Wingatui. So, as I say, fought back, small profit.
Right, let's head up north, and it was at Mutter, the Wairere Falls Classic. But race 1 was a maiden over 1,600 metres, and Perspective with Craig Grills aboard gets home at around the $6 mark.
Yeah, good win. Came from the back and blew them away. There was money for Mohi Place here for Chad Ormsby. We'll touch on one of Chad's in a minute in a little bit more depth. That was around 8 into $6. And the worst result was Daring Dame. We're in the Cambridge stud colours. 5 into $4.40. That was minus 70,000. Perspective as well on the market. Wasn't a great result. It was $4.60 out to $5, but maybe with the racing pattern that was expected, it was going to probably get back. It did get back. Didn't matter.
No.
Yeah. So it was a small win, plus 10,000 for Perspective. First of the day there, Mutter.
Craig Grills goes back-to-back to start the day. That can't be good for you and the bookies. He gets home on another $6 shot.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. With Craig Grills going back-to-back, he's riding very well, as we obviously know. But, my new favourite horse, Captain Stan, saving the day for us again. They went again.
Well-backed again.
Yeah, well-backed again. I thought they might have given up, but I think the blinkers going on, Captain Stan, gave them the impetus to have one more crack. Like, he keeps running good races, let's be honest.
He's not far away.
He's not far away. He's just been a little bit overplayed, potentially. He'll win a race. He'll win a race somewhere. He won't have mine on when he does. But, the blink's been on. He ran another honour race. He was $4.16 to $3.60. $4.16 to $3.10, I should say. So they did go again. St. Giles was plus 30. It was just hovering around that $5.56 quote all day. And the money for Johnson, the son of John Snow there, for Chad Ormsby was a first starter. Didn't run a bad race by any stretch. Now, how far away was it, Paul? 4.5 lengths. Maybe mark it down. There's obviously an opinion around Johnson. Yeah, Johnson. That was minus $110,021 into $12. So with Captain Stan and Johnson and the race meant St Giles was plus, let me check again, 30,000.
Okay, race 3 and Livid Sky gets home at around $4, $4-ish.
Yes. Was this your bet of the day, or did you have it in the foreplay?
Better than the foreplay.
I tipped us over in the foreplay. Sorry, shoes. I thought I'd done well, but that wasn't to be. They knew what they were doing here. They got this one bang on. Did customers Livid Sky $7.50? $8.50.
Oh.
Yeah, well found by you. Into $4.80. It was a small loss. The money was well spread across the card. It was around minus 15,000 for Livid Sky. Got the trail, got the win, stepped to 2,000. Customers right on song there, and then they saved to a degree on Mid-Ocean, who some people are now spruiking as a potential ruffian in Oaks, who was $7.50 into $5.50. They ran the Quinella. Mid-Ocean getting home very strongly from the back. Probably not too much else to speak about in that race. Gloriofilia did have support to a degree, ran third in the race, but customers got it bang on here. They backed the two horses that ran the Quinella. Livid Sky minus 15,000 and Mid-Ocean $7.50 into $5.50. So got it right in the third of the day. One for the customers.
Race 4 and Doddle, who's been knocking on the door, gets home for Stephen Marsh and Tegan Newman.
Yes. Oh, I think, it did. Let's have a look here. Plus 30,000 for Doddle. Was in the market, but it's not wanted. A few more were wanted around it were that race, and one of them certainly was Giacomo. Traders will be thanking Chevron in the race. The rider, Nicola Ewen there. I just pestered Giacomo in the lead. They thought Giacomo was going to get the soft lead in front.
Not to be.
Not quite. Just sort of Chevron just kept at it and still had the audacity to kick on the corner, Giacomo. So you could feel a little bit hard done by if you'd backed Giacomo. It was $7.50 to $3.60, so it was nearly bang on there. It was a pretty awful result for the TAB. It was around minus 40,000 for Giacomo. Doddle was plus 30. There was also money for Sassy Lass and Lingjing Zhongfeng, although that got out with the expected map, I think, around Lingjing Zhongfeng. They didn't think it was going to get into it from at the back with a reasonably weighty sort of 59 kilograms. So it meant that Doddle was a winning result, but yeah, Giacomo, very game, well backed. If it gets to mutter over the 2,000 again, bet early would be my advice, because I'd say it'll be a shortener again off that run.
Race 5 and December, who was well in the market, not the favourite, but well in the market. So I'm guessing not the best result for the bookies.
Spot on. You've sort of summed it up beautifully there, Paul. It was a losing result without being a terrible result. I think it could have been a lot worse. Again, this was a horse that was probably going to get back. And then the marketplace said, well, okay, we're going to gravitate towards the on-speed. And you're seeing this a lot. And I don't know if traders are taking into account as much as they should be. Well, clearly they're not, because we've seen some big moves for horses that are going to be running on speed. I've noticed it lately over the last 2 or 3 months. The speed maps are really coming into effect. So if you do have the opportunity to do the speed maps, sort of almost as soon as you can, Wednesday, Thursday morning, there is chances to take advantage of some prices. Now, look, December romped home from the back, and it was a heck of a win. Let's be honest, but it was still minus 20,000 for December. But this market changed a little bit. Miss Bo Peep started favourite, and that was $6.50 into $3.20. Craig Grills, I thought at the 600 metre mark might have had them in a bit of trouble, but had its chance in front. Miss Bo Peep got there very easily and sped along. Faded late in proceedings. In the Coney County was another one that was going to race up on the speed from the draw, and it was 16 into $6.50. So MAC players got the value. They didn't get the win. December was devastating, to be fair, from the back. Another one like Perspective, probably even better, to be fair, and a better race. So minus 20,000 December. It was $3.90 out to $4.40. Back into $3.70 late. There was probably a few saving on December, just with the class of the horse. But if they'd got the value early on the likes of Little Bo Peep in the Coney County, then they might have just have a little save on December. Got out to $4.40, back to $3.70, but and minus 20,000.
Right, race 6, the Mitre 10, Mutta, 1,400 metres, and Britannia Gold gets home. Did you get some back there, Thad?
Yes, we did, because there were 2 very well-backed runners in the race. One in particular, High Elation. Oh, gee, they really got hold of this. This was minus 128,000 for High Elation. So they got stuck in there. And then the market mover was Sabrina Hall for the O'Sullivan Scott team, 5 into 340, almost threatened to start favourite. So the marketplace had it completely down to 2. And fair to say, Sabrina Hall, I hope it's okay. Finished last, so it was out the back and never looked likely. So something obviously amiss there. And High Elation wasn't brilliant either. So it was a bit of a funny old race, to be fair. And even though Britannia Gold was around 14 into $10, so there was a little bit of a long shot push to a degree for Britannia Gold. It was plus 50,000, with all that money, and particularly for High Elation. So I haven't seen the Stipes report yet around Sabrina Hall, but they were both well backed, High Elation and Sabrina Hall, plus 50, Britannia Gold.
Race 7, it's the feature race of the day, and here we go. Johnny Wheeler and Herbert.
Here he is.
Who does it again.
On his winning way. Look, they always had an opinion of this horse. Penny's dropped well and truly. With this horse, obviously got the Taranaki Cup the start prior, been winning them in a row now, and then comes out and wins a nice race, the Waiwere Falls Classic. It was hovering around $9, $9.50, back into $9, but you can imagine, Paulie, the Taranaki locals didn't miss it. It was a very small win for Herbert, just around plus 10,000. Frost Fair, the big mover, was $4 into $2.45. And the other one I need to mention, on Navigator, that's right. They thought Navigator from the draw was going to be a big player in the race. It was $9 into $6.50. Frost Fair got home well enough for 4th. Navigator, not sure. Only 4.5 lengths away, but wasn't in it really. So, Herbert, hey, good horse. Johnny Wheeler knows a good one. He said it was above average, and certainly proven to be the case. Taranaki locals would have been smiling. They took a fair bit of our cash, but that was balanced to a degree here by the money for Navigator and Frost Fair.
Race 8, and Leroy Brown gets home at around the $9 mark.
Bad Leroy Brown. He can
bad
be.
For who?
Bad for customers. He's a bit hit and miss, old Leroy. He can be very good, and then he can be bad Leroy Brown. He just romped along in front, in which he's done. That's his pattern. Mm-hmm. Never gave anything else a chance, but he was 8 out to $12. I just think everyone thought he'd do what he does quite often and lead them up and just sort of find a few a bit better and be wanting on the last sort of 100 metres, but it wasn't to be. It just gave nothing else a sniff. Desert Mystic, $3.90 into $2.30, ran a nice third. It's going well. It had a big weight to carry and just sort of couldn't pick up. And some interesting money for Jolted, first up over a short distance short of its best.
One to look out for. Is that what you're saying?
You're on top. One to look out for. I just think sort of loomed up on the corner and then sort of came to the end of its run. But the money suggests Jolted is going well for the Kelso team there. So I'd be marking down Jolted out of the race. But Leroy, caught them napping. 8 out to 12 plus 40,000.
Okay, so overall up at Mata.
Yes.
You happy with how things went?
Oh, relatively speaking. Never happy, Paul, you know me. It's just my demeanour. No, I'm only joking. Yes, it was Mata better than Wingatui. We're into the low $100,000 profit there, around 120,000, I think, for Mata and around 40, as I say, for Wingatui. So the margin at Wingatui not brilliant, but it was a winning day at both venues domestically in New Zealand for the TAB.
Righty-ho, Thad. That's about it for another week. But boy, oh boy, have we got a huge Saturday coming up this weekend. It's Champions Day at Ellerslie, the first ever running of the NZB Kiwi, the $3.5 million NZB Kiwi, along with 4 Group 1s, plus the Auckland Cup. There's all sorts going on. We'll be back in next week and reviewing what goes on there. But you looking forward to that?
I can't wait, to be honest. We'll be talking big numbers when we sit down next Tuesday. Yeah, World Pool as well, exactly in operation. And to think the Derby's running and we're talking about the Kiwi. Forget the Derby's even running. I won't off Saturday, obviously. I'm looking forward to the Derby immensely as I do every year. But we'll have some big numbers to crunch one way or another come next Tuesday when we reconvene on the nose.
Rightio. Thanks for joining us here. And don't forget to check back next week when we review all the goings on Champions Day at Ellerslie here on the nose.